93, everybody. Granny here, and I want to touch on something that I shortly brought up in my last vlog, but I didn't really expand on too much. And it kind of goes back to something that I think is very important to ceremonial magic, and I wanted to address specifically this book. Liber 777 is pretty much the most important book in any ceremonial magician's toolbox. Not just because it teaches us how to use the Naples arrangement of the Kabbalistic Tree of Life, but it also gives us a symbolic language to use to communicate with each other. It allows our experiences in the spiritual realm, which are very personal and very intense and very exact, to be communicable with other people. And I think that a lot of people miss that about 777. They kind of think that, you know, like dog is Mars, is tobacco, is like some kind of affecting some kind of supernatural matrix, and if you put these things in the same place at the same time, then cool stuff will happen. And then there's other people who don't believe that, and they think that you should all make up your own systems, and because they see this kind of conformity as a threat to their individuality. And it's like, no, we all have to have our own personal symbol system for understanding this, and so on and so forth. And both of these ideas are really fucking stupid. For the first part, these attributions are made. We have to make the associations in our head by studying them, by doing rituals, by carefully thinking about them when we do the rituals, by keeping them in our head at all times. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Israel Regardie, but there was one suggestion he had about taking a walk every day and like looking at all the colors that you see and the objects that you see and just trying to place them where they belong on the Tree of Life, what path, what Sephirot, stuff like that. Those are good exercises to do because you need to learn to think with that tool. It is a tool for categorizing information and for bringing that information up again later. For the second group, the group that feels that their individuality is being threatened by something like this, it's like people thinking that their individuality was being threatened by the alphabet. Oh, I don't want to use ABC like everyone else. I'm going to come up with my own alphabet. Let's all come up with our own alphabets, and then let's try to write each other letters and see how well that fucking works. Some kinds of conformity are necessary for communication. If we don't all conform to the same language, we can't communicate with each other. If the people driving their cars on the street don't conform to the rules of the road because they feel that I just gotta be me, man, I just gotta be me and drive wherever I want, man, then you know what? They're not gonna last very long. The key is association. You have to really have it down. What color, what symbol, what image, what smell, what sound, what gesture all go together. And then when you're doing a ritual and you have those so down in your mind that it's automatic, the same way that, you know, you'll see a company's logo and maybe their jingle gets stuck in your head. Like, this is what I'm talking about. This is how this works. It's the same logic exactly. And that's what we're trying to accomplish, except, you know, in a spiritual state instead of trying to sell you crap that you don't need. This takes a lot of grunt work. It takes a lot of repeated practice. And people get distracted and frustrated a lot of the times because they'll do a ritual and the first time they get this really big effect, but that's because they probably just studied it, they just put it together, all the associations are fresh in their head. And then the second time they go from the notes from the first time and it doesn't work as well. Then the third time they go from the notes from the first time and it doesn't work as well as again because they're not going back and studying the material again, making the associations again, connecting those dots that actually give the ritual its power. They think it's just the words, just the symbols, just the gestures, but it isn't. Unless you're doing regular work to keep these associations fresh in your mind, the rituals that you do are going to lose their power as you lose your connection with them. The more regular work you do to make the associations completely automatic, the more powerful your rituals will be. We all know this. A certain song will remind you of a certain event or of a certain person, same with a certain smell. It goes beyond just the corporate logo, it's all our senses. They become associated with all kinds of different experiences that we have. The cornerstone of ceremonial magic is taking control of those associations and making them work for us. So we get to choose how we think, how we feel, and our psychological state by manipulating objects in our environment. It's grunt work. It's a lot of grunt work, but it's necessary and it pays off if you actually do it. This is why Crowley makes yoga such a priority. You have to learn to concentrate, and yoga teaches you to concentrate. It's completely necessary to give your rituals the essential power that is required to have them actually work, so that they're like these vital, dynamic, forceful gestures and not just, you know, you going around and saying a bunch of words that you got out of a book. to revisit the main point, because we're all using the same system, our experiences will be intelligible to one another. And that's key, because we are trying to approach magic in the AA with the method of science. And in the method of science, if one person doing an experiment is unable to compare their results to another person doing the same experiment because they're using a different mental alphabet, then, well, that's not science. Different researchers have to have a context in which to compare their results, and Liber 777 provides that context that makes a scientific method possible in spiritual exercises. I know I'm emphasizing this like it's a lot of work, a lot of work, a lot of work, and it is, but if you have a passion for this stuff, it's not tedious work, because you'll be able to see the results. It's going to take a certain amount of conformity to a system that is going to produce that result. But this isn't the kind of a conformity that impedes on your individuality. This actually, if you conform to this system, it will help you learn to express your individuality. This will actually help you express your individuality. Not by making up some new categorization system that means absolutely nothing to anyone but you, but by giving you the tools to create change in conformity with will. Because that's what magic is.